anyway, now I'm owner, editor-in-chief of this newspaper, The Onion, which nobody's ever heard of. You know, occasionally you might, see people pick it up on campus. That was kind of it. And I was faced with this horrible job of filling sometimes 8 tabloid broadsheets per week with stories and cartoons and jokes. On occasion, it would be a 12-page issue. This is like death. So I could see why Tim and Chris weren't sleeping. So I needed to hire some writers and immediately started collecting people. Now, people have often asked me, where does The Onion find its writers? Because, these are some of the top writers of satire in the entire business. And other companies and other industries, they're very concerned about, how do I find the A players in my industry? How do I find the top people? And, we just figured it out. They search high and low. They have business seminars about this stuff. So I'll tell you our simple formula. We did not search high and low. We just searched low. Dropouts, shut-ins, disaffected, smart-alecky liquor store clerks, grocery store clerks who make fun of customers in line, minimum wage slaves, service workers. These were our A players. Now, why is that? Well, they were bitter, they were hateful, and they had no prospects in life. Perfect. And I was right there with them. I was one of them. I had a day job as well. Worked at a radio station, pressing buttons at the top of the hour. So what you find when you find people who are really good at writing comedy is that it comes from some kind of deep pain. I'm sure you've all heard this, and you've seen it, like, Chris Farley, John Belushi, Robin Williams. These are a good indication of who comedy people really are. There's an old saying in Hollywood, don't ever invite a comedy writer to your party, because they just bring it right down. So, but these are my people. I love them. I love all of them. They were, oh my God, I hired an agoraphobic conspiracy nut, a pathological liar. One of our writers was suicidal. They were all on some sort of prescription antidepressant medication. They all came from broken homes. And, often you turn to comedy as a way to cope. Like your dad leaves and you subconsciously become a funny person in order to, win him back, which is so sad because dads don't come back. It's not happening. I don't care how funny you are, dad's not coming back. One writer originally approached me by email, and the subject heading was, "Area Loser Wants Job." I thought, okay, pretty funny. Opened it up, and he had a pretty good submission of headlines there, so I called him up. Turns out he's pushing 30, still lived in his mother's basement, too insecure to leave the house for like 10 years. And I'm thinking just the kind of talent we're looking for at The Onion. So I hire that guy. Another writer I hired was a guy named Rich. Rich was trying to figure out what to do with his life. He got a job as a school bus driver. Now, you have to understand, in these days, there was no internet photo service where you could get great photos of anything. If you wanted a photo of a person, you had to go out on the street and say, hey, you want to be in The Onion? And people were like, oh, sure. That's how we got most of our people. But some of the funniest people to put in The Onion for stories are old people and kids. They're just funnier. They're funny. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because they don't have any sense of comedy about themselves. They take everything very seriously. It was impossible to get photos of kids. Here's a guy who drives a school bus. He's got access to so many kids. Now, you can't go out on the street and see a kid, hey, can I take your picture? This is not going to work. You're going to get arrested. The parents will shoot you, whatever. Rich had this plug-in. And so we would do it legitimately. We'd find a kid on the bus, and Rich would say, yeah, he'd be perfect for this story. We'd contact the parents through the school, and they'd sign a release form. Everything was very, by the book. And we do that for regular people on the street, too. They'd sign a blanket release. By the way, if anyone ever approaches you from The Onion, do not sign the release, and do not let them take your picture. You'll end up being,